So I will first have to go to GitHub and create a new repository. So I'm going to create a new repository from scratch, right from inside GitHub. I'm going to github.com, and I'm already logged in. So I will go here on the top right section. There's a plus sign, and I will click new repository. So let me zoom out. So once I click on the plus sign and the new repository, I will name this repository. So now I can select other owners, other groups. You will have just your account. I will select Social Hackers Academy, and then I will name the repository. I will name Social Hackers Watchlist. It says that it is available as a repository name, and then a short description, computer technology related movies, series, and documentaries, just a short description. I will make this public, and then I can either click create repository or add a simple README file, so that I don't just start with a blank repository, but with a simple file. So I will select add a README file and then click repository. The README file is in Markdown format. I will. I think we've talked about Markdown format. So this is the repository. This is the README file. This is the first file that you see when you visit a repository on GitHub. I can edit this file and then use the Markdown format to, let's say, films go here. This in Markdown format will be translated into an H2 HTML tag. Markdown is a text format that is translated into HTML. So I will say films, documentaries, and then I will place the documentary for this week. So this is how we create a list, an unordered list in Markdown with a simple dash, and I go to here. Let me move a bit. Just give me a second. So I will grab the title, copy, paste it here, and I will use this syntax, which is the Markdown syntax for an anchor tag, an HTML link. So in here, in the brackets, I will place the title of the link, and then in the parentheses, I will put the URL. And so this is the Markdown format, H2 tag, an anchor tag, and then I should click on commit changes. So now this is the updated repository. So let me add some collaborators. So in order to create a GitHub repository and add collaborators, you will have to go to settings and then manage access. You have to enter your password for security. And now you will see this screen. And here in the manage access section, you will have to click on invite teams or people. Can someone remind me of his GitHub handle name? I don't know. Do you remember your GitHub handle name so I can add some of you? Okay, so I will go with Rami and be careful to invite the correct person. Rami, sorry, um, I cannot hear you, Rami. Let's see, Armando. Armando. Well, I think this is Armando. Let me double check. I don't want. Uh, I don't know, Armando. I don't think. I'm not sure. Okay. Rami Art. Okay, let's go once again with Rami. Okay, so invite teams or people. Okay, yeah, this is, and now I can select the role, read access, and I will use the maintain, which gives all access because I want all of you to be able to have access to this repository. Just don't do anything with this access yet. So now Rami will get an invitation on his email, and he will have to accept the invitation. And once he has accepted the invitation, he will become a collaborator on this project. And in order to download this GitHub repository on your computer and also work locally and upload your changes, you have to go to the GitHub repository link. And then here in the code section, you'll have to select this link. You can use either HTTPS or SSH. I think right now you can use the HTTPS. So I'm going to get this link. I'm going to copy it. Let's just hit Command C. And then I will open VS Code. I will open the terminal, go to some kind of, sorry, to some kind of folder. Let's say I will go to documents, or let's say downloads. It depends on where you want this. And then I would use the command git clone and link from the repository. It will clone the repository and download it on my computer. And now it's on my downloads folder. So I will have to cd to social hackers watch list. As you can see, I have a new folder with the repository. With ls, I can see the README markdown file. And now I'm going to add this folder on a new VS Code workspace. So file, add folder to workspace. I'm going to go to documents and click on social hackers watch list. And now I have this GitHub repository. So let's say I want to add another file to the repository. I'm going to create, let's say, a new markdown file called series md, and I would say, let's say, Silicon Valley, and then I will save the file. And once I'm ready, you can see that there's an untracked file on this Git repository. So I will have to clear the console, do a git status always to see what's happening. There's an untracked file, the series md. I need to stage it. So it says use git add file. I will use git add series md, git status to see what happened. So It's placed and it's tracked now by Git. And since I want this change to be committed and uploaded, I will say git commit same for adding a message, adding a markdown file for the series center, and I can send check my git log. As you can see, initial commit, and then I did this commit online on the GitHub site, and this is the commit I did just locally. But this information, this commit is done locally. It isn't yet uploaded on the GitHub repository. So you can see 3 commits here, 3 times in our history. If I go to the GitHub repository, I can click on this button, commits, and you can see that there are only 2 commits. The one I did locally is not yet uploaded on GitHub, so I have to do that right now. So I will go here, I will clear the console, and I have to write git push origin, which is the remote repository. It's just a word for a term for the remote repository, and this is the branch that I'm currently in. We briefly talked about branches. Default branch is always named master when you create a Git repository. So I'm pushing, uploading on the remote repository, and let's hit. Okay, I got some errors. Let's see. Okay, this is probably, I will check. No, okay. So there's some, the reason why I see this is because I've used the HTTPS protocol to connect the GitHub repository. This is not a problem for you. For me, since I'm using SSH protocol, I will get this error. I will have to fix it, but I will fix it later on my setup. So if I was already set up and everything was right, I would just run the command git push origin master, and this third commit would be uploaded on the GitHub repository. But just to make sure that we have to handle the errors ourselves, what I would do if it was the first time I saw this message, I would just copy this message up to here, because this is generic message, but this is too specific. There probably won't be any Google page for this specific error. It doesn't exist yet. So I copy this, and of course I Google for this kind of information. I hit a couple of links. I check Stack Overflow. You can see that a lot of people have found in my place, themselves in my place. So I go to see the answers. There's 1 upvote, 2 upvotes. I scroll to see this one has been upvoted 9 times. I first have to see which one is the most upvoted answer. So this one has 51s. And then I'd have to find a solution. No, so right now it needs some time to go through the answers and see which one fits my example. And this is how we start investigating our issues. So I will check this one. It is caused by the repository still being empty. There are no commits in the repository, thus no master branch to push to the server. There are a couple of options here, but since I don't have an empty repository, it's probably some other kind of problem. So I have to scroll down and read through some of the answers to see how we can fix this situation. So this is all about creating a GitHub repository online, adding collaborators. You should do that on your presentations. One of you should agree on who will create the GitHub repository, and then add the rest of the team members as collaborators. And once I have all of you as collaborators in this GitHub repository, we will use one of the HTML templates. We will add this code here, and then we can publish the code as a web page online for free through GitHub, or more specifically GitHub pages, and we can have our own watch list available online. So we'll talk about this more in a later session.